Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Pep Talk Pod. Try not to say that too fast. Dear God, it's my own podcast and I almost couldn't say it. I have got my laptop with me. We're going to be looking at some of the requests that I've had from people for this very first season of the pep talks that they would just really love in their life right now. And the way that I work best, if you are familiar with your human design, I'm getting out of breath from talking. That's not a great sign. When I have looked at my human design, if you are aware of yours, I am a 6-2 profile. I'm a generator, which means my strategy is to respond to certain things. And when I respond in that certain way and my sacral is like, oh, this is a really juicy thing for us, then that is the stuff that I know to talk about. I know to go and follow to my heart's desire. I know that I'm going to manifest everything that I want when I do that. So with this being said, I put on my stories because if I don't have something to respond to, all you're going to hear is crickets. I've got 5 topics in front of me. I'm just going to do this with my finger. I'm just going to put it around the screen and I'm just going to stop and whichever one is closest to we'll talk about. Okay, we've landed on time management and getting shit done. So the very first pep talk is going to be around that. If you feel like you are stuck in time management, getting stuff done, I just can't seem to do it. This came from my lovely client, Sylvia. When it comes to time management, you need to ask yourself what you prioritize. What is a top priority in my life? If it is not a priority for you, you're always going to say that you don't have time. So what I want you to do, I want you to stop saying you don't have time and start saying this thing isn't a priority to me. Is that getting you in the feels? If it gets you in the feels, then you know that something has to change. You know, you need to stop telling yourself that bullshit of like, oh, I just don't have the time, and actually start saying to yourself, I actually just don't care enough. And if it's something where you can't say, I just don't care about this thing, then you know you have to start creating time. And to create time, my love, you have to start saying no. Now, the things that help me the most when it comes to finding time, creating time, prioritizing the things that mean the most to me is to first get very, very clear on my values. If you do not know what you value, then you are always going to prioritize what other people want. You're going to be a people pleaser. It's going to be a chronic condition for you and you're going to be like, I need some sort of Holy Spirit cure. When it comes to your priorities and your values, you can actually see this in your human design. This is just like a little side tip. If you look at your Venus placements and the gate that you have within your Venus placement, then that is actually going to show you what you value the most. But in terms of, you know, you don't need your human design to tell you what your values are. You can like get a journal, get your notebook, have a conversation with someone and just write down the things that you're just not willing to compromise on. What do you value the most? A couple examples from me. I value, which is hilarious about this, I value my time more than anything. But in terms of if I'm not doing something that brings me such joy, I just cannot for the life of me do that thing. That's where procrastination comes into it. That's when I'm just like, oh my God, like I don't want to do this. And I just won't be able to do it. But if something that I do with my time gives me a dopamine hit, maybe that's an ADHD thing or a neurodivergent thing, or it's also a sacral thing within human design, to be honest. If there isn't a sacral hit of like, I want this, then honestly, you couldn't even put a gun to my head and make me do it. Please don't do that. But, you know, you couldn't make me do it for toffee. So when it comes to prioritizing that in my value, even if I'm having to do something that's really mundane in my life, like laundry and making different meals for the family and all of these different things, and admin, taxes for my business, all of this sort of stuff, I have to prioritize my day and section it so that I get to do the stuff that gives me the dopamine. It makes me feel really good at the start of my day. That is my priority. My priority is doing things that make me feel good. I do that, and what it does is it actually fills up my battery, it fills up my tank, and then I'm able to do the stuff that I've been maybe procrastinating, putting off, or just simply don't want to do that I can actually delegate to anyone else because there isn't anyone else that could do it. So with that being said, it's like, that's how I set up my day and prioritize things in my life and in my business so that I can really focus on the things that bring me that joy, that give me that really good, excited feeling, and then I can prioritize and do the other things. Now, time management skill that I can really share with you is something that I've always done in my previous 9-to-5 roles. So I've always worked in agencies for marketing, social media. So within that, there's always been a lot of time management within the groups and the teams. And the one thing that I could actually say is to make 2 separate lists. Your first list is going to identify all of the things that you want to get done. You could do this for a weekly basis, or to be honest, I would actually recommend you do it for a weekly basis. You list out everything that you want to get done or that you need to get done. On a second list, you map out all of the blocks of time that you have available in your week to actually spend on things. When you're not sleeping, when you're not eating, when you're not, picking the kids up from school, when you're not at a 9 to 5, whatever that case may be, anything where you're like, this is a non-negotiable, I have to do this, there's no getting out of it. List out the time that you've got available around those things and tally up at the bottom of each list how much time is required for each thing. When you've listed out all of the things that you want to get done, put like a rough time estimate next to it of how long it's going to take you, taking into consideration things like prep time, actually doing the task, and then anything that you need to do afterwards to finish or wrap that thing up. If you've never done something before and it's like a brand new thing to your task, have like a quick Google search, like how long does it take to do this? Ask someone else who might have done it, how long does it take you the first time? And then add a little bit extra time, like an extra half hour or 45 minutes or something to that task, just in case. You always want more time on your hands than less. So that's how I would start to do it. And then you tally that up at the bottom, see how long it will take you to get all of these tasks done. And then what you can do is you can compare the two of them so that you can see, this is what I want to get done, but this is the actual physical time that I have on my hands. This is a very good way of looking at things, and stop expecting yourself to be superhuman and being like, well, I've just got to get the impossible done. Like actually be realistic with yourself. Ugh, I hate the word realistic, but sometimes it has its point, right? Be realistic with yourself. What can I physically get done? And if I'm under the availability of time that I've got to the tasks I want to get done, what are the main priorities? What are the urgency ones? Like, okay, well, that's actually a client thing which is due for Tuesday, or this is something that I need to do X, Y, Z, or, I actually need to get this piece of content out this week, or whatever that may be, and star that, and then block those things into your calendar first. I use Google Calendar, but basically it's my Google Calendar, and I just block everything in with the time frames to get that extra hit of dopamine, because I love being organized. I color code everything, and it just makes me feel really good. To be fair, I probably get more out of that than doing anything else. But I put everything in color coded. I map it all out. I block things like, you're going to have lunch, you're going to have your coffee here, you're going to do your tapping videos, you're going to do a somatic workout, or prioritize myself and those things that bring me joy first. And then after that, I block everything else in. And this is coming from someone where I only have 3 days of childcare per week. And I wouldn't even say it's a full day. It's like I drop the kids off at 9. I go and pick them up again from 2:15. It's not a large block of time that I have available. Most of the time, I'm like trying to do some stuff on a weekend or an evening. But again, I prioritize my time, and that's what I value the most. And my family is something that I value the most. So I'm, I kind of yo-yo between both of those things, and trying to spend and be present with them versus, okay, but these are things I want to get done as well. Like, you have to also put yourself first in those situations as much as you can, but every weekend, like, you've got a life to live at the end of the day. So that's what I would suggest that you start doing, is making those lists and asking yourself, being really honest and just identifying what you have to do, how long it'll take you, and actually how long you actually have available in the week to get these things done. And then just saying, okay, what can I delegate? What can I move to next week? What are just some nice to have things? I've really been doing this a lot, like I said, for all of my career, everything that I've been doing in my business for the past 3 years, but it's really got to a point recently where I'm like, okay, it would be really nice to have, a virtual assistant or a member of my team or someone that can maybe take a couple of these things off my hands so that I'm then able to focus on the other things. Reinvesting into yourself is something that I'm still learning with and still allowing myself to prioritize, but yeah, massively helps when you've got some help, doesn't it? So to recap with this pep talk, what you're going to start doing is making those lists. What do you actually want to do? How much time does that need? How much time do you have available? What can you fit in? What can you cut out? What can you move? Then you're going to ask yourself, what are my core values? And am I doing things and taking action on things that align with those values? Or are they taking me massively away from it because it's something that I think I probably should do for my business to be successful, or for me to just be doing in my life to people please others? If you don't know what your values are, that's where you need to start. Okay, you need to understand what you prioritize, what you value most, and that is what is going to help you start to create the time that you need to get the stuff done, manage your time, tick off your tasks, and ultimately just feel like you're being a productive human being for your own life and your own standards. I hope that helped. I'll see you in the next pep talk.